Legendary linebacker Ray Lewis once said, "Success is one thing, impact is another." And that's one of our guiding principles here at Granger Financial. Granger Financial is a family-owned business birthed from the desire to be innovative in the education of insurance and financial products.
It is our goal to be the partner of choice, offering our clients an unparalleled white glove experience.
Granger Financial will be here to help you face the ever-evolving needs of your family and business, offering consultation and support to help you find continuous coverage over time.
Far too often, what we find is that clients have been misguided on the complexity of insurance, undereducated on their options available, and oftentimes left with substantial gaps in coverage. Let our family
help protect yours. Hey family, another week, another opportunity to get in front of you guys, which I'm very appreciative of. We have some good stuff lined up for you today. We're going to talk to you about you being your biggest asset. Last Friday, we spoke a little bit and I asked the question. If you haven't seen it, please go back to our old live, check in with our old live, and you read through it or listen through it, and you'll hear us asking the question, what is your biggest asset? Some people said my car. Some people said my home. Some people said me. Some people gave a variety of different answers. But what we found is that I challenged everyone to realize during this time of COVID-19 that you are your biggest asset. You and your ability to earn income is your biggest asset, which kind of leads me to where we are today. And I have the special privilege to have one of my good friends on the show. I'm going to bring him on in a little bit. His name's Adam Herndon, mentor, entrepreneur, and motivational speaker. He only told me to put 3 of those. I added mentor because I love what he does in the community with his son's AAU team, and just mentoring young children to teach them that you can be an entrepreneur and grow up in this world. But was going to talk to you guys about the fact and the old saying that we kind of always talk about, that time is money. And time is money. My time is money. I ain't got time for that. Well, right now we've been given more time than we can ever dream of. We looked at the calendar last night, and I think that we locked in for 5 weeks. What have you done with your time to enrich your life? And that's why we bring in Adam on. Adam's wrote a book about honing your craft. Honing your craft means being able to work on you and be the best you that you can be. And I'll have him, that was my take on after I read the book, but I'll have Adam kind of go into some of the things that he's thinking about, that he thinks was the objective of his book. And with that being said, I'm going to kind of introduce Adam again, and then we're going to bring him on here shortly. So after our introduction, we'll bring Adam on the live feed with us. And then he and I will just have some finance, honing your crafts, things you can do during this time period of COVID-19 to actually impact your life and be better at what you do. So a little bit about Adam Herndon. Adam is a gentleman, All-American track runner in college, overcome some things. He broke his back, was told that he could never run again at one school, transferred to another school, and became an All-American as a track athlete. And I believe that talks about his ability to just go out and get things done. He graduated from Ohio State University. He owns an insurance business in Maryland. And then also Adam, he has his own business as a motivational speaker and definitely as an author. So with that being said, I'm going to bring Adam Herndon on the line. Let him talk to us a little bit today about some of the things that he has going on. Adam, how you doing, brother?
Good. Good morning. How are you?
Man, I'm awesome. I can't complain. I first want to say thanks for joining the live session with us. for taking the time. You know, I know you have a million things to do and other people that you could be talking to, and that you would be paid for it. You know, this is a favor you're doing to us and the people that follow our live session. So I definitely appreciate you taking the time to kind of join in and talk with us today. So I kind of gave you a little bit of your background, but I can't speak to it like you can. Why don't you talk a little bit about, you know, who you are and the things that you do now?
All right. No, thank you for the eloquent introduction. The only thing you missed out is the Ohio State University. See, is the D in front of it. But
Man.
oh man, to make a very long story short, and not to be redundant, I'm from Oakland, California, single parent household, and you know, you learn a lot of things growing up in Oakland, especially you know, without having a father around. So you know, the great thing about me is I had other male influences, coaches, uncles, grandfathers, things of that nature, above and beyond just having a very strong mother. So that kind of molded me. And also just, you know, embracing adversity, right? Because my main motto is you shouldn't let adversity define you. Like, you know, a lot of times we say, well, woe is me. I can't, because I have this impediment, I can't do this. So it's going to be pain. It's going to be hard either way. Why don't you get something for your pain and the heart, right? Steve Harvey has a great saying. He says, you know, if you're going through hell, you know, keep going. Like, you know, don't go through hell, just stay in the heat. And, you know, keep moving through it. Like the adversity should not define you. That's something that you can. I was able to. Long story short. And as a result, you know, that was some of the things that helped motivate me, was not letting that define me. And, you know, and I've learned a lot as a result of that.
Awesome. That's awesome. So you said a couple things and I kind of wrote them down. You know, being from Oakland, I'm from Jersey, from Newark, so I get it. You know, how did coming from that environment and those environments really impact you as first as an athlete, and then B, you know, we're on Financial Fridays, so we have to tie it into finance a little bit, but we want to have real conversation. How did that impact the way that you knew about money to begin with, and then B, you know, helped you transition in these times like we're in right now?
Correct. So one great thing is, you know, being from Oakland, my mother was actually a part of the original Black Panther Party. And so I knew about community, and community is very, very important. And during that time in the 70s and also going through the 80s, there were a lot of epidemics going on, but the community was the ones that held everything together. You know, lunches for the kids, tutoring for the kids, learning on supporting each other through our businesses, which is the same thing that I know of Jersey is, you know, that, you know, people from the outside will look at it and say, well, man, oh, you're from the hood, you're from a bad place. It was that element, but there also were positive elements at the same time, because all we have is ourselves. It's no Calvary coming to save you. It's no Calvary coming to save me. It's no Calvary coming to save any of us if we're looking at the epidemic or pandemic, which is going on. So it's up to us to hone our craft, be community driven, and also doing more in 24. We all have 24 hours. What are you doing with that time? You know, it's okay to take a break, but but you must have a plan for your day. Because if you don't have a plan for your day, you don't have a plan for where you're trying to get to, then anything that comes your way is going to pull you to the left or pull you to the right, and you're going to stay in that place. So I learned about maximizing time, maximizing resources, and also doing my part to make sure that I can bring people along with me.
Gotcha. That's awesome. I think I wrote down the word community, right? I think one of the reasons you joined the show and our Financial Friday is part of that is community, right? You and I talk a lot about what can we do to give back to empower our people or to empower people in general, right? So in this spirit of COVID-19 and where we are, and we're talking about our significant asset, but we're talking about community, you know, it's up to us, because we have been blessed with certain levels of knowledge, to give back to the community. So that is a huge word when you say community, because it's up to us, people like myself and you, to come back into the community and break the curse of this financial mindset that we've been in, from a standpoint of buy Jordans, get the stimulus check, go buy a new TV, get a Gucci belt, buy something that I've never had that I've always wanted, where sacrifice will get you to that place. But I want you to also to kind of jump into, Adam. You know, I see you post this every day on your Instagram at Adam Herndon. Is it at Adam Herndon Agency? What is the Instagram handle?
Instagram is at Adam E. Herndon.
So at Adam E. Herndon, you always post about do more in 24. Well, for 5 weeks, we've had a whole 24. So talk to us about what that means of doing more in 24.
The one thing that I noticed from the first time I started working in corporate America, I was a consultant out of college. And the one thing that I learned, and as I was getting this great training, was simply this: success is a process. And that has stuck with me for a longest time, because when you look at the people who are successful, they're not winging it. They're not just going through motions and saying, well, I'm just working hard. I'm working 18 hours a day. You can work 18 hours a day, but what process are you following? So my mindset behind the book, Hone Your Craft, simply is this: is I wanted to help people develop their own crafting process. And this is something that they can do day in and day out and track and see where they're going with this process, which is important, because if you don't maximize the 24 hours that you have, because time is one of the most important resources we have. Once we write that check for today at 24 hours, we're never getting that back. So what are you doing day in and day out that you can be able to develop, that you can be able to follow, that's going to get you a step closer to what you define as success? Now, don't think about success as being in the big body Benz. Now, that may be a goal for one person, but that may not be a goal for you. So you've got to develop what is your goal? What is your end result? What do I need to do day in and day out? Who can I find as a mentor that can help me along the way? Because if you're sitting in a room by yourself trying to develop something without having an accountability partner, it's going to be a lot more difficult to reach those goals. You know, if you want to lose 10 to 15 pounds and you just want to be in the basement every day, it may be a little difficult for you. That's why they have personal trainers. That's why they have different groups for you to join, because you need somebody you can be able to vent to, who can motivate you, and you can motivate them so you can be able to reach this, but not realizing that I have to do this all on my own. But it comes through the process. What is your process? Don't tell me I want to do X, Y, and Z. What is your process that's going to get you to your goal? And you've got to be able to develop that. You've got to be able to adapt to changes. We see what's going on in this environment. If we had this conversation 3 months ago, it might be a different conversation. But if you're not adaptable to what the changes are, then you're going to be stuck in a rut and you're not going to be able to get to where you need to be. How are you adapting? How are your goals being not necessarily changed, but how are you adapting your processes that's going to get you where you need to be? Because if you're not going forward, if you're not growing, then you're going to be stagnant. And once this time is up and it's lifted and we're able to go back to work and going back to to the new normal of how things are going to be, the question to ask yourself is, how am I better now than what I was 3 months ago? Because that competition is going to be there. It's going to be a lot, very, very competitive. And you've got to make sure that you're better than you were before, because the opportunities may be a lot more limited to how they were before.
Gotcha. So from a financial standpoint, Adam, you're an entrepreneur, you're a motivational speaker, you're a mentor and author. How financially have you adapted to COVID-19, and what advice would you have for people out there that are dealing with, you know, either financial hardships or just in a position where they don't know what to do with their money right now?
Great question. The one thing about COVID to me, besides the unfortunate illnesses and deaths that we're seeing all the time, is the positive I can get out of it is allowing us to slow down and kind of reset. right?
Mm-hmm.
The things that we thought are important to us, are they really as important? I mean, you have a Gucci belt, you have these nice Jordan shoes, you have all this different type of stuff, but if you can't wear them, then you know what you thought was important, they may not be as important anymore. So the reset button is pushed, which means you have time to go through your budget and seeing what was I spending money on that I necessarily don't have to spend money on right now. So for me, let me look at my budget. What can I streamline? Where, you know, some people have 2 and 3 gym memberships. Wouldn't even go into any of them. You're looking at your budget. Do I really need 3 gym memberships? You know, I was going out to eat all the time. You know, we're noticing now, we know how to cook. We know how to be able to put our stuff. You know what I mean? Like it may be some Stouffer's lasagna in there, but you can make that the night before and put some foil on and bring it to work and be able to eat that for lunch. You can be able to find ways to streamline your budget to look how much is coming in, which I can control. You know, I can't control how much all the time is coming in, but I can control what's going out. So the main thing is your budget. What are you spending money on? What can you make necessary changes for? And also just your mindset of, okay, if I'm not giving enough to myself, where am I putting myself? And what that means is a lot of times when I talk to people about saving, they, you know, though I love Toyota, though I love my insurance company, though I love all these different places, a lot of times people's savings is whatever's left over, then that's what I'm going to save for the month.
Yeah.
But Big Mama told you growing up, look, the first person you pay besides God and your tithes is yourself. So we need to restructure this thing as I got to make sure I'm at least putting my 5 to 10% away from the beginning, and whatever's left over, can I live off of that? Because if that's not balanced correctly, then you're going to find yourself in times like this, and when you need money, you don't have that access to it because things were just not balanced correctly.
Absolutely. So let's pause right there. Let me add to that just some quick tips around budget. And Adam, you chime in if you want. The first thing I would tell you to do is zero out your budget every month. And what that means is you identify, like Adam said, the amount of money that's coming in. And to zero it out, you make sure that every dollar that comes into your house is earmarked in a certain way. Okay. Meaning if you make $1,000 a month and your rent is $500 and you've got $500 left over, that other $500 that's left over. And granted, I know I didn't put utilities and all of those things in there, but you need to identify them. Utilities, $50, car insurance, $50, life insurance, $50. See what I did there? You need those things. They're important. You should have them. Savings, $50. Now that's $650 I spent. There's $350 left over. Where's that money going? No, that does not mean that you go get you a big bottle of Remy or Hennessy or you go to the local store and just basically do the things that you always wanted to do. You have to be disciplined. Zero out your budget every month. That's the first thing that I would identify. Step 2 in that is I would ask you to factor in miscellaneous bills that may come up or items that may come up along the month, right? Factor in those things. And in doing so, what that does is if you have a bill that comes up or a flat tire that you didn't expect, you will be able to go into your savings and pay for it and not have to wait for the next paycheck. How do you think about that, Adam? Anything to add on there?
Well, yes. I mean, those are very good points. The first step, I'll say ground zero, because you have the 3 steps. Ground zero is have a budget.
Have a budget.
How many clients you sit down with and they say, well, I want life insurance. And your question is, well, how much money have you budgeted for that? Well, I don't know.
A lot of them, a lot of clients.
How can you say you don't even know how much money you can put towards this? If you don't have a budget in place, then you can't make the correct financial decisions that you have to. A lot of times, and I tell clients this all the time, like, you know, you'll sit down and go to the barber every other week and be in there hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yep.
you go to the hairdresser every Saturday, 3 hours. But when it comes down to going over your financial plan and sitting down with a licensed professional, you don't have an hour a year. Something's not, the balance is off. The balance is not where it needs to be. A lot of times it's taboo in certain communities to talk about money, talk about sexuality, talk about all these things. Listen, if you're not talking about it, if you're not sitting down with a professional to be able to iron out these things, you know, you're not going to be where you need to be. Your family's finances are not where it's going to be. I mean, just because you look good on the outside doesn't mean the inside is looking right. And the chick's going to come home to roost. Because when something happens, somebody passed away, and all of a sudden your family doing a fish fry out back trying to raise money to bury somebody, then people are going to look and be like, hey, well, you know, she always had the nicest purses. They always were traveling, but I guess they really didn't have things the way they need to be. So you've got to make sure you budget your money, you budget your time. You are being in charge of you. And if you're not good at that, it's okay to ask for help from somebody. Because that's what
right.
we're.
That's right. So I'll give you guys some tips on the budget, and then I want to ask Adam some more questions around, you know, some more financial stuff. But give you some tips. Budget to zero before the month begins. That means earmark every dollar that comes into your account. Do the budget together. If you're a single person, obviously you do the budget by yourself. If you are married, do the budget together. You don't have a budget in your mind and your spouse does not understand, or your partner or whoever your domestic partner, whatever the situation is, they don't know. Understand that every month is going to be different. Start with the most important categories first. Aim to pay off debt. Don't be afraid to trim the budget. Don't be afraid to cut things out. Live like no one else today so that you can live like no one else later. Okay? Make a schedule, meaning you make a schedule and you stick to it. I, for a long time, have been the worst with that. And my wife always tells me, listen, we need to do this. We need to sit down. We need to make a schedule. You need to have this thing in order. And I'm kind of like fly by night. And then Adam said it again. He said, successful people, success is a process. These people that are successful are not winging it or doing it by happenstance. Same thing with your budget and your finances. And then the last thing is track your progress. Make sure you track your progress and ultimately have a goal on where you're going. Kinsley Dugan asked a really, really good question. Kinsley said, can you provide a solid budget worksheet or tracker? Darrell, can you put up my email address or our email address? And then you guys can email us, jeff@grangerfinancial.com. And at that point, if you do that, what we can do is we'll send out a budget tracker to you. We'll get you on our mail list and we'll send you out a budget tracker, and then we'll give you access. Ebony and the team right now, we're working on webinar series for you guys to be able to sign up, look at budgets, look at things like that, to be able to help you on the day-to-day activities. Adam, let's go back into the book. What is one of the biggest things that you would want someone to take away from the Hone Your Craft book? And where can we find it?
Okay, it's two places you can find it. You can find it on my website, adamherndon.com. And you also can find it on Amazon as well. If you go to my website, do it. I normally send out you know, something extra because you went directly through me, and also sign the book for you as well. The main thing about Hone Your Craft, and there's a lot of good principles, but the one principle that we all can take from it is we all have gifts, but are we leveraging our gifts? Everyone has something that they're good at, that you know, you're going to have to hone it, which means put in time and put in effort to get close to perfection as you can with that gift. But you have something that makes you stand out from the rest. You can cook good. You have a very good voice. You're very athletic. What are you doing with your gifts? There are things that people will not have to pay you for that you can do very well. What are those gifts, and how are you leveraging those gifts? You know, a lot of people say, you know, you want to make a lot of money, you should go to law school. But if that isn't what you're good at, why would you put so much time and effort towards something just to make money when you have a gift that you can leverage, that you can be able to put time in, that no one will have to pay you to put those extra time into, that's going to make you become very good at that, that people are going to be like, I want to go to that person for this. And the reason why you leverage those gifts simply is because you're not going to mind putting in an extra grind, that extra oomph. No one's going to have to tell you to wake up early to go chase after this, because that's already ingrained in you as to you have a gift to do. And also you enjoy. Because think about 20 years ago, you know, there's certain professions nowadays that weren't around 20 years ago that you can be able to monetize, like being a gamer. Like, I'm really good at video games, right? A person be like, if you told your mother 25 years ago, now I want to develop video games, I want to play video games all day, she'd be like, you better study and get yourself a job, a good job. You know, you can go work at a post office, get yourself a real good job. When if you have a gift of doing something that you don't mind putting in that time and doing, you can be able to monetize and make a lot of money doing it. But you've got to identify what your gift is and also look into how you can monetize it, because people don't mind supporting you, but you got to have a plan, you know, and it ain't up to me to support your dream. Right. A lot of times we get deflated because we feel like, well, nobody's supporting me. Well, it's up to you to put that time. If that's your dream, you're the one that has to be in charge of it. A lot of times, you know, we listen to songs, Drake, no new friends and all this different type of stuff. No, you may need to get some new friends in the area in which you're trying to go into. If you want to be, you know what I mean? A lot of times I'm going to do it on my own, or, you know, I don't trust anybody. Well, that means, first of all, you're around the wrong type of people. And so you need to put yourself into groups, into areas, into studying webinars, building relationships, connecting with people in that field that you're trying to get into, so you can be able to learn, because we don't need to reinvent the wheel, but everything is a lot about networking and connections. So you've got to leverage whatever gifts you have and see how to monetize them, because that's what's going to get you where you need to be, and also living the life that you want to live on your terms.
And you know what? You said something, and well, not to go off track, but I think it adds some context to kind of what you just said. Do you mind sharing the story of kind of how we met and became friends? Because I didn't know you when I was a kid growing up. You were in Oakland, I was in Newark, right? We started working at a company together, and then I'll let you tell the story, because it's funny, but it speaks to the fact of, well, maybe you do need some new friends, because at times, doesn't mean you got to get rid of your old friends, but new people like Adam, who's an author, entrepreneur, mentor, motivational speaker, is going to challenge me in ways that maybe some of my other friends wouldn't. So Adam, why don't you share the story of kind of how we met and how we, you know, became friends based on what we were doing? So
I started my business January 1st, and Jeff started his business September 1st. And every year, September is Life Insurance Awareness Month. And so they were having a contest for September and October. Insurance policies wins like a trip to New York City or something like that. And so I'm very competitive, right? I'm very competitive. And this was the year in which, it was the last year we had two different territories. So we had like the Maryland, Virginia territory was going against like the North Carolina and Southern Virginia territory. And, you know, we're doing, and I remember like it was yesterday, because it was the first night. I told my wife, I said, you know, we're going to win this competition. And I called home right around 6:15. She said, hey, how did the day go? I said, we're getting ready to leave. She's like, well, how many life apps did you do today? I was like, oh, you know, we got some logs in the fire. She said, logs in the fire? She said, don't come home until you sell something. Click, and hung the phone up. And so I got home about 10:15 that night because I had to make sure I sold something. But it was ingrained in me, like, listen, if we don't sell something, we're not going home. So I'm going, we're doing well in our territory. And somebody in the consultant for my area was like, it's this guy named Jeff Granger. He has like 37 apps. You have 36 apps. Like, you're going to let him beat you? I'm like, what? I said, nobody named Jeff Granger going to beat me. I didn't even know who he was. So every day I'm looking at the reports. He did 2, we got to do 3. He did 4, we do 2. Like, everything was going down to the wire. And so we ended up, you know, I'll let Jeff say who won the competition, but we almost died in the process. First of all, I'm talking about when that competition was over, like, we barely could go to work that next day. But and so Jeff and I, to make a long story short, so Jeff and I meet in New York or whatever. I'm like, oh, that's who Jeff Granger is. So we met after the competition, and we both got called to speak in Charlottesville at an event. And Jeff is sitting in the back. I'm speaking before him. I was like, yeah, you know, the guy just came in there. That's Jeff Granger. I'm like, you know, I told my team every day, we're going to beat this guy back here. And Jeff looking at me like from the back of the room, like, what? Oh, this dude was competing against me. Jeff didn't even know I was competing against him, but it was ingrained in me that I don't care what we have to do. We've got to be better than the guy next to us. But Jeff didn't even know that the competition was going on, because just like Michael Jordan and all these great athletes, they develop, they come up with whatever they have to motivate them that's going to get them over the edge and make them to be like the number one. And I've always been ingrained, like, who do I need to go after? What is my carrot? Your carrot, if a horse is running, you don't put the carrot right here on the nose. Why? Because the horse ain't going to run. You got to put that carrot out here, something that's going to motivate you. And Jeff didn't even realize, by him excelling, because he just started September 1 and came out of the gate leading the pack. I had to have that carrot. And so Jeff was my carrot, and he didn't even know it.
Yeah. And I think to draw it back to the context of what we're doing, you know, Adam talked about it in jest as far as the competition part of it. But the real reality is both of us love to impact families, right? And our goal is to make sure that our community can leave a legacy. So whether we raced to do 35 or 37, or I didn't know the competition was going on, the spirit of it was sharing information with people to make sure they understood what we were trying to come across. Okay. And I think with what Adam is saying is that no new friends. Well, we became friends because his level of competition was the same as mine. He wanted to compete just like I wanted to compete. So you've got to sometimes have some new friends that are going to push you and challenge you to be a little bit better. So Adam was that guy for me, and I guess I was that guy for him. And I have a lot of friends that are like that around here. So in his book, he talks about, you know, the new friends aspect, but also honing your craft. And sometimes motivation makes you want to get better. I can promise you in this last 5 weeks, I've gotten better every Friday that we've gotten on this call. I mean, look at it. The first Friday, I had the damn video upside down. Now we figured out how to do split screen. We got logos and digidadgies all on the screen. So it's challenging you to get better. We have an awesome video person that works with me. My family member, right? Darvell Davis. He has his own business, See Something Entertainment. So when you have those things, you have to understand what you can do to get better and how you can leverage people. And I think I said the name of his doggone business wrong because I'm so excited to share that he's doing this. But long and short of it is he's doing a good job, and you guys can see it right now, and it's showing in our work. So Adam, talk a little bit more about the book, Adapting to Changes. You talked about community, do more in 24, talked about new friends. How do you tie all of honing your craft during COVID and then really making an impact in your financial world? Because people have joined this talk to learn how to impact their finances.
Correct. So the elephant in the room is, you know, it's a pandemic time. Some of us have been furloughed. Some of us have lost our jobs. And I use things like this as motivation, not as a downer. Accountability and adaptability are very important, because what you have to understand is, this is going to be the new normal for the foreseeable future. So how do you fit in going forward with how the business world is going to be changing? You don't have an option to be adaptable. It's not, oh, should I learn how to do this better? Should I take this webinar? What are you doing that's going to brand yourself and it's going to make yourself better? Because it's going to be a limited amount of resources going forward. You've got to put yourself in the driver's seat. And so whatever that motivation is, you've got to be able to have that in front of you, right? Be the new normal for the foreseeable future. I'm going to have to get up an hour earlier. I'm going to have to find that time. I'm a family person. You're a family person. You got to find that time. You got to find that quiet time so you can brainstorm, so you can work on your budget. You've got to find that time. It's 24 hours in a day. We're all on an even playing field with how much time we have. The question is, what are you doing with that time? Mm-hmm. If your finances are important to you, you can't tell me that you can't take 30 minutes a day. 30 minutes a day. Can you find to an hour a day to work on you, to work on what you deem is important? Because in 1 year from now, you can find yourself being an expert in the field simply by finding 30 minutes. What are you doing towards those goals? For me, my motivation has been my great uncle Alonzo Herndon was the first Black millionaire in the South. He founded Atlanta Life Insurance in 1905. Absolutely. Okay. Why is that important? That's important because my great uncle was a former slave. When he was released from being a slave at the age 5, he never went to school. He didn't have any skills. So what did he do? He bought a pair of hair clippers. He honed his craft at being a barber. He became the best barber that he could be, to the point in which he had clientele who said, I want that person to be able to cut my hair. So he took his money, he invested his money, because a dollar bill means nothing. A lot of times people say, I got $100 in my pocket. $100 in your pocket means absolutely nothing. It's what you do with that $100 that means something, because all it is a piece of paper. Where are you putting your money so that your money can be able to give you money on the back? So you got to invest. You got to put hours, you got to put time in your craft. And once that starts paying dividends for you, where are you putting your money that's going to give you money back? Because a dollar bill means nothing. Your money is your money. But what are you doing with that money that's going to give you money on the back end? That's the main thing about honing your craft. Find your skill, work on your skill, surround yourself with the right people. Develop a process. Success is a process. Show me somebody who's successful. I guarantee they're going to have a process for how they got that. I guarantee you look at the table who they're eating with, it's going to be people who have processes as well. So that's right. Okay, because listen, are we talking teams? Are we talking teams?
That's right.
Look to your left. Look to your right. Who's on your team versus who's on my team versus who's this team? Your team's got to match up. We go back to the playground. We picking teams. Who are you picking to be on your side?
That's right.
And I can't do this on my own. I know I can't. I don't mind asking for help. But guess what? When you go into people to be a mentor for you, when you're going to people to be able to spend time helping you, investing in you, what are you bringing to the table to barter with them? What research have on their business?
We have a question from the group. It's actually a good question. I think you and I would enjoy answering. It says, how is this affecting your business? How have you adapted? How are you able to maximize the opportunities that are out there? Okay. I'll go first. Okay. This has definitely affected our business, right? You have people that, we're an insurance and financial company. We're paid commissions based off of people paying their insurance premiums. And the reality of it is, we know people are struggling and they can't pay their insurance, which means we don't make a commission at times. And we have been impacted, but how have we adapted? we're giving back, right? So many people have supported us and given to us for so long that right now, over the last 5 weeks, you know, I can tell you every Wednesday that my wife and I are on live talking about the things that impact, you know, our household. And every Friday we're on live talking about the things that that you can do to be better financially during these times. And then on the other side of it, how are we able to maximize the opportunities out there? What we've been doing is coaching, right? Offering free coaching sessions to some people that are helping them in their personal life. We've been offering more coaching sessions, and we're maximizing these opportunities by just giving. Right now is not the time to be a salesperson. And I think Adam will agree with me, and most of us can attest to this. It's not the time to be a salesperson. It's the time to be a resource. Because if you're a resource right now, people will understand and really know where your heart is and where you're truly coming from. And I can speak, and I think everybody that's here and that have chimed in that knows me knows that I'll give you the shirt off my back if I can. But at the same time, I do still have a family to provide for. But we've made smart decisions by saving money and putting money in different places so that when times like this did hit, we were able to weather the storm, whether it be for 2 months or 6 months. So my goal to you is, and my challenge in answering that question is, be a resource right now, whatever that means for somebody else. And if you believe in karma, it'll come back, right? And if you put some good out into the world, it will definitely come back to you. And not that that's why we're doing this, but ultimately we know that in our community, finance is something that's very, very taboo. We'll talk about going to the club or the liquor store or taking a flight to Miami. But if we talk about credit scores and where our finances is, more often than not, 9 times out of 10, the people that we talk to are like, oh, I got to improve my credit score. That's not the same conversation in other areas, in other cultures, right? Because finance is paramount and they talk about it more often than not. So for me, that's how you maximize the opportunities out there, is by understanding where you are and what you can accomplish moving forward.
Very good question. I ditto what you say. And for the sake of not being redundant, I agree with the points that you made. The one thing that I can bring it back to the hone your craft is I talk about developing a crafting process. And this is for any business. This is for any entrepreneur. But guess what? We're all business owners because we're the CEO of our own lives. Okay. So understand, when we talk about business, you are a business. You want a raise, give yourself a raise. It's ways for you to develop that. And by developing your crafting process, one of the steps is developing a contingency process. My first job, I was a consultant. I used to do computer programming. And so I have to do like 100 and 200 pages of code just to develop behind the scenes what happens. Say a person purchases a candy bar at a store, for them to be able to run code that takes the candy bar, registers it, be able to use the barcode, sends it to here, sends it behind. So I used to have to print out all these code. And because I'm a visual person, I would tape them to the wall. So it will be a whole wall full of code of, if this happens, then next step goes here. If this doesn't happen, it shoots it over here. It brings it back here. What does all that mean? It means you need to have what if scenarios going in your life as well as in your business.
Absolutely.
So you need to have vision. If it's a sunny day, I can take my bike and I can just ride straight down the street and I'm smiling, the birds are chirping. Today was a win day. It was a perfect day for me. Okay, well, what happens if you're riding your bike and it starts raining and it's flooded on this street? Can you go make a left down the street? I can't make a left. What can you do? Well, I can turn back around and go this way. That same thing needs to be contingent upon your finances as well as contingent upon your business. So for us, my office, the structure itself is closed right now, but we're all working. All my employees are working from home. So I already had a plan in place. If something happened, because in July, my first year, 2012, somebody hit a telephone pole which fell over. It was no electricity for like a mile on my main street. So I had no electricity in July of my first year. So at that moment, I was like, man, how are we going to still be able to work? So I had a plan in place. I was like, I can never be sidetracked like this again. And so I had a plan in place saying, if anything ever happened again like this is going to be my contingency plan. We need to have that for our finances as well for our businesses. If this happens, what do I already have in place so I don't have to be stuck a month or two behind? I may be pushed back a step or two, but I already have a plan in place so I can be able to jump into and be able to adapt to whatever is going on around us.
Awesome. Awesome. So that, and I think that's huge, Adam. Again, just want to make sure that you guys know Adam Herndon's book can be on Amazon, or you can go to his website, adamherndon.com, and you can find his book, Hone Your Craft. Good read. I read it. He even had a story about my wife and I in there that I found pretty funny. I won't tell you where it is. Hopefully you can pick it out.
I purposely didn't put your name in it because I don't want to get you in trouble at home, but I did put that about you and Ebony.
That's totally fine. But you can find Adam's book again on adamherndon.com. I just want to circle back before closing out to talk about budget to zero before the month begins. Do the budget together. Every month is going to be different. Make sure you factor in some miscellaneous funds. Start with the most important categories first. Pay off your debt. Do not be afraid to trim the budget. Make a schedule and stick to it, and track your progress. And the most important one is set a financial goal for yourself. I was told there's a question out there that, let me see if there's a question. Where's the question, Ebony? Do you have it?
What would you say to somebody who may feel like maybe it's too late to start over?
Gotcha. What do you say to someone that feels like maybe it's too late to start over? One of the things that I realized is it's never too late to start over. And starting over is a state of mind. Now we're getting into mentality versus finance. Okay. So Adam, I appreciate you joining. I'm going to take some more of these questions. You can stick around if you want, but I don't want to monopolize your time. I do want to say thank you for joining us. I appreciate you. And again, one more time, to plug Adam in, adamherndon.com. He has nice gear. Pursue your passion, and you can go and purchase his book. Please purchase his book. Support him if you can. Has some good information in there. Adam, I appreciate you for joining us.
Can I add one thing before I leave?
Absolutely.
It's no such thing as a dead-end job. See, a lot of times people think, well, man, I'm just working at McDonald's in the drive-thru. This is a dead-end job. Do you think the woman who has 4 kids, who just worked a 12-hour shift, thinks you in the drive-thru McDonald's is just a dead-end job? They're just happy that the service is there that's going to allow her to be able to provide food in an efficient way to their family. What does that mean? That means there are skills, no matter what job you have, that you can be developing and honing that's going to be able to put you in a better position for whatever your end goal is. So whatever you're currently doing, Martin Luther King said a long time ago, right? You know, don't just see yourself as a person who just sweeps the floor. Can you be the best at that? Can you, because even if you're sweeping the floor, who are you sweeping the floor for? Who is seeing you honing your craft and having a process for how you do it that's going to say, man, this person could be really good at doing X, Y, and Z? Because one of my top producers, for me, she worked at Panera Bread. She just worked in the back of Panera Bread. I would go in there. She was always nice. She was courteous. She outkicked her coverage in football terms, meaning she may have been just working at Panera Bread, but by me going in there, seeing how good she was, how warm, how good she was, her processes, I said, listen, you know, you may be just working here now, but, you know, if you ever want to work in an office, you ever want to be able to become a licensed professional, I can be able to give you the opportunity to do so. So do very good work with a positive attitude, surround yourself with right people at your current place that you're doing, and use it as a playing field that's propel you to where you really want to be.
Absolutely.
So I appreciate the opportunity to be here today with you. Make sure you're maximizing this time, because you don't want to look up, you're 65, 70 years old saying, I wish I would have done this.
Yep. Yep.
You have
And that's awesome, Adam. Darvell posted on the website your book, your website. We appreciate you. That's the least we can do for the time that you spent with us today. So again, thank you, man. Tell Chandra we said hello, and tell Che I still got a better jump shot than him.
Definitely. And it's an audio book too. All right. Talk to you later.
All right, Adam. Thank you so much. So I wanted to make sure that we got someone else besides my voice on, kind of sharing with you guys. We're gonna have more guest speakers over the next. Some of my friends that may have played in the NFL. That another author that was in the chat today. I'm going to chase him down. Benjamin Raymond, called "Playing the Game Without a Coach." Awesome, awesome guy, and hopefully we can share that information with you soon. But there's a question that was asked. What do you say to someone who feels like it's too late to start over? And this goes to mindset. The mindset is it's never too late to start over, because starting over, what does that mean? What does that really mean to start over? You weren't where you were before financially, because we see now people are losing finances day after day. 22 million people filed for unemployment last week. 22 million people. Okay. So when you think about that, money is not a starting point or an end point. Happiness is the true starting and end point. If you're happy working in the passion or field that you're in, if you're happy doing what you're doing, you could have $10 or $10 million. Jim Carrey said to a group of graduating seniors one time, he said, I wish all of you, not seniors, he just said the statement. He said, I wish all of you could become famous and have all the money that famous people have, only to realize that it really truly doesn't make you happy. So you have to find your happiness, and starting over is really not a monetary thing. It's more of a state of mind and a mentality. With that, over the next couple of weeks, you guys have challenged Ebony, myself, and Darvell to get better. So we're going to do that for you guys. We're working on building a platform right now that will host all of our webinar series that'll talk about budgeting, that'll talk about life insurance, it'll talk about auto insurance, it'll talk about all the things that you guys may have questions for but may not know where to go. We're going to design that resource. If anything, our website will be up and active by Monday. It's been a long process, but thank you to my wife, Ebony, who wrote every stitch of that website and put the whole design together. So Monday, you will be able to go on Granger Financial. It's www.grangerfinancial.com. We have a landing page right now. If you want to go on and you have questions, you can contact us from the landing page. It'll allow you to send us an email or call into the office. I also want to plug my illustrious Hampton University. I got to point back up there. The Office of Alumni Affairs supported us today. They were posting and broadcasting our Granger Financial information and Financial Friday on their website and to all of our alumni. So I appreciate you guys for doing that for us. If you are a Hampton alum, make sure you give back. Give back to your school. HBCUs need us. We need to keep that in there. I appreciate you guys for allowing the time to spend the time with us today. And we look forward to seeing you again next week. Inbox us, Jeff@GrangerFinancial.com, our website, www.grangerfinancial.com. Follow us on Instagram @GrangerFinancial.com. And we look forward to seeing you guys again next week. Thank you so much.